it's me again. A few things I want to address before getting into this video, so welcome to the disclaimer. I wrote a twit longer, and in that has a lot of details in regards to these allegations, and I implore you to give it a read to give yourself a better understanding of the overall scope and detail of the events that happened within Hana and I's relationship, and a relatively detailed look of my side. I also want to apologize for the previous videos I released, and I want to give an explanation as to why I do what I do on my social media platform. I think Spockter was right in saying that I'm my own worst enemy. I have a habit of pushing away potential connections and keeping myself in this bubble on my platform, while also being upset that my voice is too small to address anything. I'm impulsive when stressed, and that impulsivity causes me to lash out towards others, especially when they question my truth. I hope to remedy that in this video and open up everyone's mind to the circumstances of this situation and the general inconsistencies of Hana's story. But before I start, I want to apologize. A lot of this situation has caused me an immense amount of emotional trauma, especially after coming out of the John Swan scandal, as well as dealing with other dramas beforehand. Having to continuously defend your name over and over again begins to cause you a great deal of stress, and that stress translates to your personal life. I want to apologize to John Swan, Harley TBS, Optimus, Nani, Peaches, Malice, Gritus, Spy V, Jar, Akumu, Sen, and any other lesser entity and voice for my conduct towards them. There were better ways to deal with this situation, or any other, and I want to take accountability for the part I played in them. If you are triggered by mentions of assault, domestic violence, self-harm, physical, verbal, and emotional abuse, as well as mental illness, I recommend you either click off or tread this video carefully. With that being said, let's begin. I believe I can mention these arrests and what they are, given that Hana released several tweets telling people what I was arrested for, and also because they are a public record, but if not, consider this a human error. Hana has accused me of 5 crimes. 2 are felonies and 3 are misdemeanors. All of these charges have been filed within the same week. The 2 felony charges are strangulation as well as grand larceny. The 3 misdemeanor charges are prevention of help through wireless communication, assault against family member, and violation of protective order. The first 2 charges I want to address are the elephant in the room: strangulation and assault. Never in our physical altercation on December 3rd did I ever strangle Hana. I never choked them, wrapped my hands around their neck, or anything. All I did was subdue them to keep them from having another physical outburst after a heated argument by holding them down on the bed, to which Hana proceeded to scream at me to hit them, kill them, and cause them physical harm. I refused and proceeded to tell them to relax, given I did not want to hurt them. Within that time, Hana began to push my thumbs back, attempting to break them. That is when I responded by holding their arms down as well. I can imagine that this is where the injuries on their inner arm come from. Every time Hana attempted to do this, I applied more force to keep them from doing so and hurting me. Later, the fight transitioned to the front of our bed on our beanbag chair. Hana was also hurt by me having to grab and push them away from me to the chair. And despite us fighting, I tried to make sure that Hana was at a location that they would not take any unnecessary physical damage, which is why I chose the beanbag chair. Within that time, Hana began to insult me, calling me things like bitch, pussy, coward, abuser, and dismissing my feelings. All the while I'm telling them to stop, cut it out, and calm down. I let it clearly be known I only wanted them to relax and only defended myself when necessary. This was not the only time that Hana has told me to cause them physical harm. I've chalked up all these situations as bipolar outbursts, and I've dealt with each of those situations the same way. I'm not trying to abuse Hana. I'm trying to keep Hana from hurting themselves and hurting me. And allow me to elaborate on that. I try to keep Hana from hurting me by defending myself whenever they swing, kick, push, punch, or grab me. All of these things happened within that day. Not swinging once is a complete lie. I try to keep Hana from hurting themselves for this very important reason. In Hana's thread on me on Twitter, they posted this photo. As you can see, Hana cut a gigantic gash into the base of their hand. This was not inflicted by me. This was self-inflicted. In the past, Hana cut that gash into their hand after we had an argument, and they locked themselves in the bathroom. I was fine with them going because I assumed they needed their space, but eventually I got scared because even before they cut this gash into their hand, they cut their own wrists after a previous argument while I was at home away from them. Having seen your partner self-harm 2 entire times, the trauma starts to make you worry for their well-being and treat every situation in the future as an urgent one. so I did the same here. As for Hana's injuries on their face, they ended up hurting the back of their head on the heater area beside our bed, as well as the side and back of their face. These were all self-inflicted during our fight. The only time I ever hurt Hana was when the fight transitioned again to the left of our bed, in front of Hana's desk. Hana continued their verbal and physical assault towards me, and in response, I slapped them 3 times. I'm not running from this, avoiding this fact, or anything. They wouldn't stop the first time I slapped them, they wouldn't stop the second time, and they finally stopped the third and calmed down. I no longer saw Hana as a threat, so I got up and let them have their space in the bathroom, but sat outside in case they did anything to themselves. I was not banging on the door, yelling at them, threatening them, or anything. I simply sat there and did not say a word. I did not want Hana to hurt themselves. By the end of the night, we worked things out and slept in separate rooms. What people don't understand is how toxic this relationship can be and how that toxicity affects me, being the only person who lived there alongside them. This entire argument started due to a recurring problem I would always have with Hana: accountability, lying, changing their story over and over, disrespecting me, emotional abuse, verbal abuse, physical abuse, as of recent, setting standards for situations they don't follow themselves, avoiding saying sorry until the very last minute and not understanding how that's an issue, not letting me walk away, dismissing my feelings, ignoring me, starting fights over inconsequential matters, and the list goes on. What that does to a person is mentally debilitating. The juxtaposition of me as a creator before I began to date Hana as opposed to after I dated them is night and day. The same can be said for my personal life and relationships. Being with this person brought the worst out of me, but you can't fix someone who doesn't want to fix themselves. Hurt people hurt people. You start to become angry, sad, and numb, but you stay because you love this person and want it to work. And a part of you, though codependent, is hoping that everything just turns out okay. This fight ended the same way all of our fights ended. I get ready to leave. Hana wouldn't want me to go. This has to be the upteen time in our relationship that this has happened. I would get ready to pack up my belongings, take the gifts I gave Hana, leave my gifts behind, and leave the next day. We would sleep it off, and Hana would tell me not to leave. Rinse and repeat. The morning after, I apologized profusely to Hana and promised to them that what happened that day would never happen again. And it didn't. Not only that, but I opted to end the relationship because I was able to identify that the both of us needed help. And if I ever wanted to have a future with them, I needed to let them go and allow the both of us the space to heal from our wounds. Hana has caused me a lot of trauma that has overall damaged our relationship and its stability. This is a two-way street. From their words, it takes two to tango. Despite the breakup, Hana and I agreed to cohabit until February 4th, where I would be moving into the house that I live in now. Within that time, I would still help with bills and rent and treat them the same way I used to, just without the stresses of being in a relationship. We both told one another we still loved each other, we just needed space. I encouraged Hana to work on their friendships, take time to work on themselves in the apartment, and when I leave, to keep in touch so we can let each other know how everything is going. And when they're ready, we come back together when all of our issues are sorted out. This is how I believe things ended. As for grand larceny, Hana accused me of stealing several items. I'm just going to go over the items that were not listed on the wish list, as well as the wish list itself. The items Hana did not mention that they claimed I stole from them are their 3DS and clothes. When I left, I took only 3 items that belonged to Hana. I never intended to permanently deprive them of these items and return them after the protective order expired. Those items are a school bag, cat carrier, and laundry basket. That's it. I also want to address this entire claim of gifts. Hana and I agreed to give up the things we gave each other whenever we broke up. The gifts Hana gave me are as follows. The Gaomon PD156 tablet. They gave me this tablet given the fact they stole 3 Wacom tablets from their school and didn't have much use for the tablet anymore, given we had 2 left over after the giveaway. I left this behind. So either they gave the stolen tablets back or they still have them. And if they do, I don't see why they need a 3rd tablet. A FlexiSpot bamboo desk. They got this as a second sponsorship. I never took this with me. Paid for our plane ticket to Florida and our Airbnb. I paid for transportation, food, and my own ticket until I went broke. Hana was over $23,000 richer due to their Creepshow art series. and had that on top of over $2,000 saved in Patreon, over $3,000 invested, and over $15,000 in savings. Spent the last cent I had at the time on some food for Hana in Epcot, and I was always willing to go broke for them. I don't really consider this a gift, given that I was simply a +1, and Hana wouldn't have gone unless they had someone come with them. And I heavily advised against it, but they insisted. It was a nice experience nonetheless, and I'm very, very thankful for it, and that I got to spend it with someone I loved at the time. A pink champion hoodie that they kept even after our relationship ended. A small Jirachi toy. They kept this despite it being in the photo of my belongings they posted. $25 half-moon earrings that they lied and said were over $150 in real gold. New diamond earrings that they said they would buy to repay me for lying about the previous earrings. I only wore these earrings for a week until they wore them themselves and kept them. They never gave them back to me. Here's a photo of Hana in those exact earrings. A fluffy chair for my desk area in the living room. A monitor. They never bought themselves. It belonged to their dad. It was a gift from their older sibling to their dad and from Hana to me. Light blue Crocs and some Black Lives Matter gibbets. A pride flag for trans and bi pride. Hana also never bought this. They just got it from their job. A duck plush from Etsy, which I promptly named Omnia. The only thing on this list I've received back is my Crocs and the flags. Hana has kept everything else, and whatever I owned that they wanted, or simply things they wanted, they just claimed I stole from them. The title of this wish list before it was changed is as follows. Omnia, help me replace my damaged stolen item. After my abusive ex-partner was forced out of my apartment due to the enforcement of an emergency protective order, he trashed my entire apartment and stole multiple items of mine. If you're financially able to, please help me replace my damaged stolen items. Every ounce of generosity is hugely appreciated. Thank you so much. I'm going to go through each and every one of these items with screenshots and explain what we owned, didn't own, and I purchased. Nothing I bought within this relationship has ever been something Hana was to keep after our split, and given their own actions, they are well aware of that. Lysol wipes. 3 containers of Lysol wipes were left at the apartment before I left. So to whoever bought these, Nia has 5 now. Mic cover for Blue Yeti. Hana never owned a Blue Yeti. I did when I used to stream. Here's the receipt for my Blue Yeti. I never brought the mic with me when I lived with Hana, and we only used their Blue Snowball. Whoever bought this bought Hana a new mic for no reason. Sapphire nail files. Why I would ever damage these or even need them is beyond me. We never owned any, and whatever Hana needed to file their nails, they already had. A level. We also never owned this. If Hana did, I'd love to see a photo or receipt of it before we split, because I know it doesn't exist, and so do they. Pillows. We had several pillows. Here's a photo I took of Hana while they were sleeping with Minnie, and I thought they were cute. This was shortly before we broke up. As you can see, we had plenty of pillows. A litter box. We had 2 cats, Minnie and Gabriella. Both of them had their own respective litter boxes. When I left the apartment, I took Gabriella as well as her litter box and food. Minnie's litter box was still in the apartment. Here's a photo of the litter box. Both cats' bowls, trays, beds, as well as some litter were left behind. Power drill. I can't confirm whether or not Hana actually lost this power drill, but I'm not the one who took it, if they did. Here's my own power drill, as well as the receipt for it. I would also love to see a receipt of this power drill since Hana is so confident they never stole it from their roommate, but no one will get that receipt because it doesn't exist. Everyone bought one for them anyway despite that. Light therapy lamp. Also something we never had. Here's the text message of Hana asking me for this exact lamp on December 7th, the day before they filed the protective order. We never owned this, but I did buy it for myself. Here's the receipt. Stardew Valley. They never owned this on Switch, they only had it on Steam. And from what I remember, they don't remember their login information for Steam, so I can only assume that's the reason why this is here. Either way, it was neither damaged or stolen. Don't know why it's on this list. Black & Decker vacuum. We never owned this. This was removed from the wish list and then re-added. It's weird. Again, either way, we never owned it, and Hana used the situation to get one just because. Breath of the Wild. I can confirm they had this. I can't confirm if they actually had it stolen from them, so not much to say here. Animal Crossing New Horizons. Interesting, this one. Hana actually confirms on their own they already own this game digitally in this screenshot. As you can see, Animal Crossing is on the Switch, but it doesn't have a cartridge icon to the left of it. That lets you know that the game was purchased digitally and not physically. Whoever bought this for them, I'm sorry. I'm gonna go off script here for a bit. I actually released a thread on Twitter because people were also accusing me of stealing Hana's copy of Animal Crossing New Horizons. Here is the screenshot of my Nintendo Switch OLED's games, and here are all 3 receipts of Animal Crossing New Horizons, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, as well as Pokemon Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and proof that I bought them, as well as proof that I bought my Switch OLED. Cool. Nintendo Switch Pro controller, also something they never owned. They would always play off of my controllers. Again, if they purchased this, I would love to see the receipt, because here's mine. A white Blue Yeti microphone. Again, I had one of these in the past. Here's the receipt. Also, here's the receipt for my new one. Again, I would love to see a receipt of the previous Blue Yeti Hana owned, but again, it doesn't exist because they never had one. JBL Flip 5. Hana never owned a Flip 5, they owned a Flip 4, and they also very well know they didn't own a Flip 5. They just wanted a new speaker. It's funny because the Flip 4 exists for a much lower price if they did lose it, and they wouldn't have to take a lot of money from their fans if they asked for that. But I guess we just have to have the newest stuff. Also, again, I can confirm they had this, but I can't confirm they lost it. I did buy my own JBL speaker though, and here's the receipt. This is a JBL Charge, not a Flip. A Eufy Roomba. I can't confirm we had this, but again, I can't confirm if they actually lost it. If they did for half these items, I'm sorry they did. Okay, this one's the kicker. Elgato HD60S Plus. Hana told all of you that they had this stolen from them, given they used it to stream. They also told all of you they lost a Switch Lite. A Switch Lite was Hana's only console, and that console is not compatible with an Elgato HD60, HD60S, or any capture card, given that it has no HDMI ports, which is required for the capture card. How can they have a capture card stolen from them if they don't have a single device that it can be used with? Makes no sense. Also, here's the receipt for both capture cards. Hey, it's me again. Sorry my fan is on, so if you can hear that, I apologize. But I want to let it be known that Hana did not need a Switch OLED if they lost a Switch Lite. All they had to do was just ask the public for another Switch Lite if they genuinely needed help from the public to replace their damaged and stolen items. If they really wanted a Switch OLED, they could have paid it out of pocket. And Hana even let it be known later down the line that all of these things are things that they can afford. They're just choosing not to buy them. So I can completely understand wanting a Switch OLED, but don't ask your fans for it if it's not something that you genuinely had stolen from you or not something that you genuinely lost. Just buy the Switch OLED if you really want it that bad. But I digress. Whatever. Beats Studio 3 wireless headphones. They never owned these. I did, but they didn't. I guess they liked mine so much that they had to accuse me of stealing those too. But they gave me the box for mine back, so weird to put this here despite that. Nintendo Switch OLED. I guess they'd need to have the newest thing instead of what they claim they lost, so that's cool. But they never owned this. I didn't even own this. Our streams ran off of my MacBook or my Switch and PlayStation. Hana did not have the consoles nor the means to stream until they met me. All those streams that you saw the both of us do, yeah, they were off my Switch. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Hana lost this. They never had it stolen from them. They left it behind at their parents' house before they moved and assumed that one of their cousins took it from them. So, feeling bad for them, I went out and purchased my own copy so the both of us can play it together online. Here's the receipt for when I bought it. Pokemon Brilliant Diamond. This one is especially funny to me because Hana doesn't even remember what version they played. They never played this version. They had me play through Brilliant Diamond again while they played through Shining Pearl. Ironically enough, that's what they're playing in this photo. All my Switch games I buy for myself, but I let Hana play them. Here's the receipt for the day I went out to buy both of those games. Apple TV 4K, 64GB. Again, never bought this for Hana. Still don't understand why they thought this was ever theirs. They didn't pay for a single subscription service we had. I paid for Hulu, Disney+, Crunchyroll, Funimation, HBO Max. Near the end of our relationship, I paid for Amazon Prime Video, and even had my own Plex server to run movies off of. Hana provided Netflix, which was being paid for by their dad. You would think if their father disowned them, they would deny their access to Netflix or change the password, but Hana is still part of the family and always has been. Another tidbit, The storage model is not the storage model we had. We had a 32 gigabyte model. If they had this stolen from them, you'd imagine they would remember how much storage it had. And this isn't listed here, but iPad. Hana is really dead set on saying their iPad is gone and I have it, but I promise you, I don't. I actually bought my own along with some AirPods and an Apple Pencil not too long ago. Here's the receipt for all those things. Hana also stated this in a tweet. I also changed the name of my Amazon wishlist because apparently Kai was having a lot of issues with the fact that not every single item I listed on there was damaged stolen, though a large majority are. I just got tired of the whining, so the name has been changed. So, in writing the script, I've went over 24 items. 21 of those 24 items were not damaged stolen. 87.5 of Hana's initial wish list is based on a complete lie. We either already had, never had, or I never bought for them these items. I guess they meant to say, though a large majority aren't. All of Hana's gifts I got them are still with them aside from some shoes I bought. That's it. That's literally it. Also, let me tackle this claim of never agreeing to rescind gifts that Hana stated here. This is my last tweet for the day because this is extra ridiculous. Consider the fact that maybe when someone doesn't have proof of any of their claims, it's because it never happened. The agreement that I'm okay with rescinding gifts doesn't exist because I never agreed to that. This is cap, and let me tell you why. But first, a short story. Hana and I broke up on February 18th of last year due to claims similar. After we broke up, Hana sent me $300 in Cash App, to which I swiftly refunded. Then they sent me $500, to which I refunded again. Then sent me $500 again, to which I refunded. The reason that Hana sent me $200 more is to refund me for the necklace I bought them. The rest of the money was to repay me for all of the money they requested I spend for not only them, but their friends at the time. I refused the money because Hana was worth more than $500 measly dollars to me, and I would much rather have them than $500. But after the third refund and talking with them, I told Hana that if they were actually serious about ending things with me, just send me my money back like they were going to, and I will leave their life for good. This was all after I released my thread on February 18th, where Hana left my brother and I to die in a snowstorm, then promptly blamed it on their roommate. But that's a story for a later video. They did have this to say though in response to someone. If I was that petty, I would have just locked him out of my apartment the next time he went to go do something since I pay 100% of the rent, but apparently leaving him out in the cold is just too cruel. This is also a lie. I'm going off script for this one too, so sorry if I ramble a bit. Hana didn't pay rent until September 17th and struggled to do even that. If I wasn't paying bills as well while Hana was paying rent, Hana would not be able to have the money to be paying rent. Not only that, but here are the screenshots of me sending Hana money, as well as screenshots of me sending Hana money to also pay for food and dinner. Not only did I feed this person, but I also paid this person's bills. Hana was short $100 when they weren't able to pay the rent the month before they ended up filing the protective order. Wanting to help my partner because I loved them and cared about them, I sent them the extra amount of money despite taking up the responsibility for every single one of our bills. So not only did they not pay 100% of the rent, but they didn't have to pay any bills because I was covering that. I didn't just live at Hana's apartment for free. I very much contributed and pulled my own weight. Hana only had to pay rent for like, what, 3 months? And not only that, couldn't end up paying rent for November. Like, okay. Glad to see they were remorseful about nearly killing me and my brother an hour away from my home and leaving us to drive on icy, slippery roads 2 entire times just to get back home. Shout out my brother who risked his life as well as the stability of his car and wheels to drive the entire hour in the middle of the night from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m. to grab me from outside of the hotel that I was left at with all of my belongings and bring me back home. And even having the kindness in his heart to still allow Hana in his car, even after that, to drive to their apartment again, to bring the both of us back to my house where I lived at, where I let them stay in my home for 4 days while my family was on vacation, and got us back home before my family returned. I'm sure he feels great about this tweet. My brother even let Hana know they were one of us, and in response to that, I let Hana know if they ever needed a place to stay, I got them. I never held that over their head, but housing and feeding me by their own choice is held over mine. But that apartment is my space until they don't want it to be anymore. Sorry. Short tangent. On that day, Hana very clearly agreed to rescind gifts, and we have acted on that notion since then, whenever we came close to splitting. Why Hana claims otherwise is beyond me. Also, I let all of you know that Hana gifted me a FlexiSpot desk and monitor. I no longer have these, but Hana does. You have to squint to see this, but Hana can't stream any games on their Switch and do facecam unless they have a monitor. The iMac cannot input any HDMI signals. As you can see in the screenshot, Hana is working off 2 screens in their desk area. That second screen is my old monitor. Also, previously, Hana tweeted this out. Unlike him, I actually put all the belongings he left behind, gifts I've given him included, in the corner of my apartment to have an officer deliver them to his house whenever I'm done sorting the whole space. In this photo, there are only 2 items that are gifts. A Jirachi toy, as you can also see in this photo, and a trans and bi pride flag from their job at their college. That's it. Everything else is just my belongings, or gifts that were given to me from parties that are not Hana. Interesting how they left out what in this photo they specifically got me, but I guess it wouldn't fit the narrative. Also, in Hana's stream, my same Jirachi toy can be found in the background. For someone who prides themselves so much on providing proof of their claims, you'd imagine they would provide proof of their stolen items' old receipts, or even proof of what they got me in this photo. No bank statements? Nothing. I also want to give an example of Hana lying about something they bought for me, but ended up buying that thing for themselves, or simply just lying about the circumstances of something they bought in general. While Hana and I were dating, Hana was ordering lots of things off Amazon to purchase for the apartment, and I was starting to see that it was becoming too much. Hana began spending thousands of dollars on things for the apartment, one of those things being the $3,600 iMac that they stream off of to this day, up to the point that I had to sit them down and tell them about their spending habits. Before we had this couch in our living room, Hana actually spent a large sum of money on a couch previous. Both parts of that couch never delivered, only one, which led Hana to spend hundreds of dollars on another couch. I was usually at home to sign off and pick up all of our packages, so I noticed that we got a new couch, and told Hana about it, assuming that it was a replacement for our old one. Given that Hana didn't want to tell the truth about them recklessly spending their money again, they told me it was a replacement. On that same day, we received another package, to which Hana said was a present for me. Excitedly, I opened it up and found out it was a tea set. I actually waited for Hana to come home so we could open the tea set together. I'll let you figure out whether or not I still have that tea set. Newsflash, Hana kept it. So forgive me if I don't understand why Hana or anyone is upset that I took back anything that I bought within that relationship, when that is what Hana did even before we broke up officially. The level of things I would do for Hana as opposed to what they would do for me is at least 80-20, and that's being generous. So I actually do know the reasoning of why Hana believes I violated the protective order. 2 of those things are public, so I'll just address them. One of them is because Hana believes I hacked their channel, and the other because they believe I hacked their Twitter, said here. I trusted him with all my passwords because I loved him, and never in a million years did I think he would do what he is doing now. He has locked me out of my Gmail account that is associated with my YouTube channel, and I'm pretty sure he deleted my channel as well. What makes this claim worse is that Hana has never shared their email passwords with me. If they did, I'd love to see the proof, but blur the login information obviously. Hana gave me very limited access to their channel and no access to their email. The most I could view is their YouTube studio. What makes this claim even more worse is that Hana still has access to their email they used to create their channel. Hana actually reveals this in this tweet. Random tidbit I forgot to mention. Here's proof that Weiss did indeed delete my YouTube channel for me. As you can see, my Omnias profile doesn't have a channel, but for some strange reason, my private email that includes my first name, Hana, has a Prince Kai account under it. I also want to address, Hana's real name is not Hana. It actually starts with a W. I want to let this be known because earlier I had to post screenshots of me sending Hana money through Zelle, and obviously that's under their real name, which I'm not going to disclose, but their real name is not Hana. This is not me trying to be petty or anything. I'm just simply trying to clarify, just like my real name is not Kai Weiss, Hana's real name is not Hana nor Omnia. Just want to let that be known. For one, for an email that's so private, you would imagine they wouldn't post it for the entire internet to see and maybe, I don't know, blur it out. But maybe there's something I'm missing here. The screenshot literally proves they have access to that email. Hana didn't have a Prince Kai channel before they created the Omnia persona. Obviously, we started dating on New Year's, and this evidence would only make sense if the account was created on the day of the protective order, which was December 8th. Hana literally knows this because the account was created in November, which they confirmed themselves in this tweet. Here's the alternative account that was made under the email associated with my Omnia channel. I noticed it was made on November 27th, but I was never alerted of it at any time. Please help me get my channel back. They were never alerted of the channel's creation for this reason, but let me read you this tweet before I go into it. I vividly remember he told me he wanted to start doing that all red profile picture because he was inspired by Asia Ray's channel aesthetics, below. He also claimed that this channel is one that I'm a manager for. No, I'm not. That was his old accounts and I would never delete them for him. This is also cap, and let me explain why. Hana is 100% the manager of any Kai Weiss channel that I create from December 8th and any month before that. Here's the screenshot of Omnia being the manager of the Kai Weiss email. What Hana does not know is that the new Prince Kai channel listed under that email that I created on November 27th was under the URL youtube.com/c/KaiWeissYT. That channel was still linked to my old URL despite it being a new channel. YouTube does this thing where it allows you to keep your old URL despite the channel being removed as long as it's created under the same brand account. And since Hana is a manager of that brand and email, that channel is going to show up under the HanaTube email. Hana also reveals they have access to this account through our Google documents. I recently called out Hana and Thuman on Twitter not too long ago for being snakes themselves, despite saying this. He's been trying to drag my friend Thuman and Hopeless Peaches down with him as scapegoats for no other reason because he wants to appear holier than when addressing dramas that are literally years old at this point. He's been lying about them and giving them so much anxiety. I want to go off script for this too. Hana released a video in November about Hopeless Peaches. They released the Hopeless Peaches retrospective because they still could not get over the Hopeless Peaches drama. I told Hana, hey, you shouldn't release this video. It's not going to help anything and it's only going to perpetuate more drama, but you're a grown person. Do whatever you want to do. For one, this is incredibly performative and super victim-y. The funniest thing about this is Hana had such a big problem within our relationship with people speaking on their behalf and also had this problem within the Hopeless Peaches drama. And here they are speaking on my behalf. Either way, I was calling both Thuman and Hana out for their conduct during the Hopeless Peaches drama, where Hana took that beef so personally that they called for Peaches deplatforming. Thuman also co-signed it here. I also want to use one of Hana's tweets to elaborate on this next point. Here's further proof to corroborate. I don't own a Gmail account that has 2 X's in the beginning. No one knows my passwords, again, except Kai Weiss. I've never had problems with hacking before, only when I got a protective order against him. How very convenient. Okay, so with this string of logic, it would be sensible to surmise it was Nia who locked the Google document where they were talking about Hopeless Peaches getting deplatformed. But if they were locked out of their Gmail accounts, there would be no way for them to lock this document though. So they do have access to their accounts, but they are just blaming me for it. And look, I have 3 emails. Here are the beginnings of those emails as well as their hosts. I also don't own an email with 2 X's in it. Just because it happened on that day does not mean that I did it. And if we're going to go by Hana's testimony that the account was deleted in the middle of the night, I would not have time to do that. I left at 8. You mean to tell me that I just decided to up and delete Hana's channel 5 hours after I left the apartment on my own Wi-Fi on their iPad? Hana should be able to track it. Forgive me if I don't understand why no one has questioned this. As for the last reason as to what the violation was, I will go over that in part 2, after I handle this legally. I'm gonna try and debunk this swiftly. Hana also claimed that I prevented them from calling the police. This is a misdemeanor. For one, Hana never let it be known that they were going to call the police on that day, and even worse than that, here's a heavily censored version of their call logs before I removed them off my phone plan. As you can see, Hana had their phone from the day our fight happened to the day I left. I can't prevent someone from calling the police when they are actively choosing not to do so themselves, and have their phone the entire week. Also, here are our texts the day before. Nowhere in those texts have I been abusive in any capacity. December 3rd is the only day that Hana and I had a physical altercation, so that goes to show that something really bad had to have happened in order for us to ever get to a point where things turn physical. The only time beforehand that things have gotten physical was when I was, again, trying to keep Hana from having a bipolar outburst, and they punched me in the chest. I also want to let it be known, and this is not me avoiding my space and actions on the 3rd, Hana bruises extremely easily, so much so that we used to joke about it. I would find bruises in such random locations on Hana's body, and every time I did, I'd say, "Sick new bruise just dropped." It was that common. I also want to take accountability for the fact that I do react strongly to Hana's abuse. When Hana is being verbally and emotionally abusive, it makes me upset, very upset. And how no one has seen how the effects of that abuse have translated into my own beef on my platform is beyond me. Being in a relationship with Hana has traumatized me so deeply to the point I have taken every small, inconsequential dispute as something large and traumatic, and in some cases, it has been. I've been profusely defending myself because off-screen I'm fighting for my life and my own relationship, just as much as I'm fighting on YouTube on my platform. Hana and I would argue so much to the point that the thought of a single dispute would piss me off, because here I am fighting for my truth all over again. And it's best exemplified by this entire drama. The amount of times I've gone off the rails and done things I otherwise wouldn't do in a proper mindset goes to show all of you how much not only Hana, but being a YouTuber has deteriorated my mental state. Having to take so much online pressure nearly every day and feeling like you're the only person who can look at a situation objectively blows your mind. Having all these videos come out about you and not having enough strength and numbers to talk about your side is insane. You can't sum up a year's worth of abuse in an hour. You can't sum up a year's worth of your partner's lies, deceit, inconsistencies, or manipulation in an hour. You can't sum up my character in a video, nor anyone else's. And that's tough. It's real tough. I want to make this quick too. Hana said this entire situation where I outed their sexuality happened on September 17th. This is the conversation we had the next day. Pause to read. As you can see, we worked that situation out like every single one of our arguments, and were able to acknowledge how toxic we both were and let it go. If I was so abusive, I would have left Hana on this day to go deal with being alone and having no support. But what makes that claim worse is Hana does have support. The only reason that Hana's parents were contacted was because we were going to break up, and Hana said that they were going to kill themselves. I did not want that to happen, so I called the police and grabbed the information from Hana's phone to contact their parents. I attached a photo of us, told them who I was, what Hana lied about, and requested that they come see them to make sure nothing happens to them, given that I'm leaving. Hana was not disowned. Hana was punished. Hana's father told them that they are still open to Hana contacting them, and even came by the apartment sometime later, but Hana avoided communication. Had Hana taken the time to reach out to their parents, they would have been open to talking. I don't mind the idea of them needing time to be away from their parents, but I and even their therapist told them to open up that layer of contact if they are ever going to get what they want. Hana is the one who is choosing to take their time to not do that. Never have I told them. Nobody loves you like I do. I'm the only one who's still with you after all. Who is going to take care of you if it's not me? None of that. I'm posting searches of our text messages for these terms because you would imagine from the amount of times we did text each other, I would have said any of these things at least once, but I never did. These are all Hana's own thoughts that they feel themselves. They're self-destructive. I would never say those things to them, and never have. Hana would say and do some nasty things while they were mad at me, and I would do the same in response. But at the end of the day, I never felt or thought a single thing that came out of my mouth. Hana, on the other hand, I don't even know anymore. All of these tweets about me and disses on my name seem more genuine than any love they have ever given me while we were dating. And I put that on my grave. I'm just hoping I'm wrong about it. I've never isolated Hana from their friends. They had school and work, and I think even our fans can realize that is not something I would ever do. Here's the text Hana sent me while they were out with their friend. And here's another text Hana sent me about making a new friend, who, might I add, they are still friends with to this day, along with everyone they made friends with while we were together. Here's another about Hana letting me know when they will be back after handling a project with their friend. Here's another during the same week the protective order was filed, that Hana was out of the house to hang out with a friend, because I wanted to stay home. Hana had ample time to build plenty of relationships and was incredibly active in their school life, and I never interrupted that. I was only there at home to support them, or would come by while they were working to also support them. Hana actually wanted me to stay the entire time, but I still gave them the space to do their job. Isolating this person was never a thing I did to them. Here's a conversation that both of us had about their friends, where I said even though I'm not fond of them, they should still spend time with the people they care about, even if I'm removed from it. How, in any way, is that isolation or abuse? You know how this argument started? Because Hana got mad at me that I accidentally turned the music up too loud while I was spending time with them at their job, so I couldn't hear something they said. And instead of repeating it, they chose to get upset about it after I calmly asked them 3 entire times to repeat themselves, then walked away after the 3rd. I was wrong for walking away. Hana's previous friends left on their own volition. One left and left them an entire diary of reasons as to why they don't feel like Hana cared about them, despite calling them their best friend. This friend, who donated to Hana's GoFundMe, is unaware that Hana shared everything in their diary with me. Not only that, but their previous roommate that they're so sad they can't hang out with anymore, Hana also read their diary to me after they moved out. Shout out Harvard. They know what that means. And I guess while I'm here, I should make a reference to the other diary. This person used to pretend to talk to Hana while they were talking to their wall. Yeah, Hana knows what that means. Hana's ex-friend group left because Hana cheated on their ex-partner with me, and looking back on it, I really wanted to rub it in their face that they have a new man, posting me up on Snapchat until their ex reacted and suddenly Hana's entire life fell apart. Then their ex would diss me, and now I'm beefing with some person I don't know because Hana couldn't calmly end their previous relationship before they mosey into a new one, and didn't take accountability for emotionally cheating on their ex until I told them what they did was emotionally cheating, and even cheating by definition. You can only imagine how that made me and their ex feel. Here are the texts that I have that they sent their ex. Here are the texts they were sending me. They're such a victim though, right? What sucks even more is that I had no idea that the protective order was being filed, and after viewing these call logs, it was planned. And before I left, I saw Hana began texting everyone how I hit them, and that they filed this protective order, like this was some grand action, and didn't leave me scared, confused, and dumbfounded, because right before they left the apartment, they hugged me and said they wanted to finish up cleaning and setting up the apartment with me. And I have no proof of this next thought, so take this with a grain. But judging from this wish list and Hana's conduct after the fact, I believe that if I didn't grab every single thing that belonged to me on that day, Hana would have kept it all. If I didn't take my cat, if I didn't take my clothes, anything, Hana would have just given me back what they pleased and kept what they wanted. And I can see a lot of my items were what they wanted. And I guess they got that. They got to have the cake and eat it too. I'm gonna end this video off and say I don't hate Hana, and I don't care enough about these creators to really even hate them for doing what creators do. There's always going to be a part of me that belongs to Hana, and I still think about what could have been had this not happened. But I'm also thankful for the space to build my own safe place that reminds me of what I thought was my home. This home I'm in now was supposed to be for them too, and sometimes I wonder what life would be like in this room with them also in it. I've felt this since I've left. People see my reactions on Twitter to drama and whatever the fuck, dude, but they don't see me when I cry, get lost in my head, I scream, I think about killing myself, and it's so easy to write all this off as fake or manipulation or baiting, but my sporadic changes in mood, my reactions to hate, my arguments, all of that don't just come from nowhere, and I just want people to realize that. I've been looking for a psychiatrist since I've left. Every appointment has been delayed for months. My mother has seen a side of me that they have never seen in their life, and all she does is wish she can fast forward time to a point where I'm okay. It's so easy to tell me to get help, but no one knows I've been trying to since I've left. I've been arrested, had to strip down to nothing in front of officers, been shackled from my wrists to my legs like I'm some mass murderer or arsonist. When I felt suicidal, I got shoved in a room that reeked of piss with no clothes on my back other than some tarp, and had to sleep on the floor for a night. I had to sleep on the floor in my mom's office for months because that was the only place I had to sleep. I had to go through all of this and people still think I'm faking it. Then every day I have to wait until I can fight this legally, and it eats away at me because you hope in the meantime you can create content and not think about it. But it's not as easy for you. You get scared of moving on but hope that things at least work out and you can do shit different. You're scared of making a new platform and get paranoid because you don't know how long this shit will follow you. You get scared you'll meet someone new and they'll dismiss every good part of your character because of something they heard about you. You get scared people will recognize you and hurt you, given the scope of this situation. And all this happens before I even get the chance to really put it all out there. After all, this is just a part 1. I also want to say, and maybe I'm shitty for this, I'm so tired of people acting like they tried for me. Half the time it's been, Kai, you're doing this thing, and oh, what you did to me. And it's just so dumb. Yet no one ever asks why these things are happening or what's wrong. Don't sympathize with me if you don't get it. And maybe that will give you some perspective.